This is Wreckfest. We're on Xbox Series X taking a look at this really great car game with some really neat dynamics to it that make it truly distinct from other games of the genre. So I've been playing this since the point it was called Next Car Game, I guess. I've turned the destruction up to an intense level. We're running at the 4K mode, so on Series X we're inheriting the Xbox One X enhancement. That means you can do a 4K or a 1080. I really don't see the point in dropping it down, so we're just going to keep it at 4K, 30 FPS. We've got auto HDR support, which is nice. But yeah, the game looks just absolutely fantastic. You can get all of these little smaller details that come alive here. Select camera, free camera, okay. Trying to get like a zoom in here, hide the UI. Yeah, and you can just kind of see like all of the little wreckage details, which are just fantastic in this game. That's the cool part about it, is the fact that these vehicles can just get absolutely smashed up into little bits. And while it is a little disappointing that it's running at 30 FPS, because, you know, racing games are a little bit better, it's well, obviously better at 60, there is something about the destruction and the chaos that is just a lot of fun in this one. You know, it's definitely just a really enjoyable time. I really do like what this has to offer. Ooh! Ooh. Anyways, like I was saying, the game does feature a number of different ways to compete. There's like a career mode you can work through. Then there's quick play, which is what we're going to be doing, because I quite enjoy just setting up matches, seeing the wreckage, and yeah, I find it quite exciting and intense. And yeah, it seems to be very smooth here as we're playing, which is great. And it does look quite fantastic. I mean, I'm genuinely impressed by the quality here. So it's nice to be revisiting this one, because I did previously show it off on the Xbox One X, so it's nice to see that kind of smoothness be present here, if, you know, that makes sense. And with that, there's also multiplayer if you want to compete with others. And yeah, it's just got quite a lot of content to it, and it's a neat sort of experience. There's some customization too, different vehicles, some funny vehicles. It's definitely got a little bit of a humor element to it, and I think they did release quite a bit of content as well to support this game over time. I think it's very well done, and I think it's a blast. Especially if you've been looking for a car game where you can kind of just like absolutely smash cars to bits, and that's like kind of encouraged because that's part of the experience. I think this one will be right up your alley because it is just a real blast. It also loads a little bit faster too. We're going to show the loading into the second match that we play so that people can see what that's like. Oh, we are feeling the damage. And I think it's also really easy to understand, you know, how your car is getting smashed, not only from a cosmetic and aesthetic standpoint, but also, you know, in the indicator there on the left, you can see like where the critical damage is happening. It's a very clean UI, it's got good visuals. This is like the RACEWAY, which is kind of cool. I think this is a new thing that literally just released for the game, so it's kind of fun to be taking a look at the title. Oh, not much left of the car, look at the front there. Jeez. A good time to be taking a look at the game and just seeing what it has to offer, because, you know, it's got a little bit of new content to it, which is sort of fun. I mean, look at the engine, is just like on fire and out. I wouldn't even want to be in this kind of vehicle at this point. Would you even like, would this car actually drive in this kind of condition? I don't know if modern cars could, because of all the wiring and stuff would probably just shut your vehicle down, but this to me is kind of hilarious, like just kind of driving with like just nothing left of the car. Like, we don't even have like a wheel. How are we even moving across? And the controller is just like vibrating like crazy. It's like, oh jeez, I wrecked myself. That kind of sucks. 8th place? Really? Oh, okay, I forgot we had a full lobby here, full of like the allotted amount of AI that you could have for this type of thing. And then you get experience, you get credits, and then you kind of load back into the rest of the game. So we're going to do the WRECKNADO again, but we're going to do like the main circuit thing. We're going to do this car. We're going to do full lap. No, we're going to do 2 laps. Yeah, we'll do 2 laps. It's supposed to be a stormy day, clear day. Yeah, let's do that. Tense damage. All right, let's roll. Just so that we can show off, you know, how the game's kind of loading on the platform, which I do personally think is a lot better, which is kind of nice. That's been a great benefit of the next generation thus far. Is the fact that these older games, you just kind of get into things a little bit quicker, which is great. WRECKNADO! Who is ready for some WRECKNADO action? So yeah, you can actually kind of, like, well, not kind of, you straight up get to do racing with these destructive elements to it. I think it's a lot of fun because it really changes, you know, the type of racing game this is, and it feels a little bit more like constant derby type of thing, which is neat. So yeah, I like to see the smashing part of cars. I think this is fun. We get so many intense simulation titles where you're not supposed to hit each other, you're supposed to be all fun and stuff. So it's nice to have one where it's just like, let loose, break vehicles apart, and have a good time while you're doing so. I think it's just great too, you know, like, and also I imagine a lot of the licensing factors into other racing games in regards to, you know, not wanting certain vehicles destroyed when they're being shown off in like Forza or something like that. But this one's just a lot of fun. It's weird, over the top, action-packed, filled with adrenaline, thrilling destruction, and smashing too as you kind of cross one another. I mean, this map is technically perfect for ultimate destruction and carnage in regards to how, you know, the cars kind of hit one another. It's just quite fun. So we're going to swap over here, and we're going to set up another map so we can show off a little bit more in action. So this is more of a traditional racing setup. I thought this was kind of important to show off as well. Seeing, you know, we got some crowd density, we've got an actual circuit that we're going to be racing across. And I think that's pretty important, you know, that you can get that balance of the fun element of it, but also kind of play in a serious capacity too, if that's what you want to see. And I think this is also fun because you get to see all the little tires go flying when people hit the sides there. I just find that kind of entertaining. But anyways, it's a really great racing game, but if there was any racing game that was to get like a little bit of a boost frame rate wise, I think it would be really cool to see this one kind of have that treatment, because I think it could handle it smoothly, and I think the game would be far better off with having that boosted fluidity. I think that would go a long way in regards to making this, you know, that much more of a great experience, because I already thought this was fantastic. I had a lot of fun playing this one, and the 1X review I did on it back in the day also was fairly successful as well, so that was nice. Because it is just kind of a fun game of carnage and destruction, but also one that does care about racing too, which I think is nice. It's not just like a dumb smashing game, it's got a little bit of both, but if you want to have the dumb smashing, that's present too, which is cool. Again, with varying options that you can choose from. And I often think that this one is a little bit more of an overlooked racing title, which is such a shame, because it's really quite well done. It's very unique, the world is kind of fun, they got neat levels. I mean, obviously, I don't think, you know, it necessarily competes with the top tier racing games, but I think it makes its own category, and it absolutely decimates anything that even tries to come close when it comes to the destruction or the, you know, kind of realism of like smashing and damaging vehicles like this. I just think it has a lot of fun with it, and I love how the environments are so reactive too. You look at like a game like Forza. Forza's great, but you don't really get environments that are quite as reactive or stay as reactively destroyed as this one. I guess maybe Project Cars 2 would be something that is a similar along the veins of the track, but you know, just seeing like all the tires and everything get thrown around, to me that's kind of cool, and it just makes the tracks feel a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more realistic. Like, look at the destruction here, that's absolutely crazy. And a victory for me, right? I think right there, yep. Nice, good finish, strong finish. And let's jump on to another setup. So this is a bit of a sillier scenario that we're doing here, not only in terms of the map, but also the vehicles that we're going to be driving. Well, I guess that I'm going to be driving. I suppose I didn't set up the scenario quite correctly, because I assumed we were all going to be driving small little tiny vehicles. That was a little bit of a fun mishap for me, and I'm keeping it in there because I think this is hilarious. I am on a lawnmower right now. They are all driving regular vehicles. So they've got like these quirky options for rides too. And yes, you can actually set it up so everybody's driving the driving the lawnmower. But yeah, obviously I did not do that properly. Like, look at the carnage of all the vehicles smashing into each other and causing destruction, and it's just crazy, right? Like, it's so cool to see that in action. And I can't really recall too many racing games that have this type of like carnage or destruction to them. At least not in the modern era of racing titles. And I think that makes this a lot of fun to see and a lot of fun to play. And I mostly hope, you know, for those that kind of like this game, I've shown it off decently. And for those that maybe are looking for like a little bit of a new racing game that's just nuts, like this hits and foots the bill perfectly. It is definitely on par with that, and I still think it looks visually great. I don't think every element perfectly holds up visually, you know, some of the background stuff and that, but I think for the most part, this is a very well put together racing title that does actually look really good and offers a lot of different ways to play it and to battle one another, which is just absolutely delightful. Wow, those guys are going off the ledge. But I mean, good sense of scale and quite a lot of fun, and I think we wrapped up here, so we're going to jump into one more derby battle. Scratch that, we're going to be doing two more matches. This is a silly one, the next one's going to be a serious derby. But that doesn't mean we go down into the crop fields and get ready for some real intense sofa action, just the way the Americans love to do it down in the South. Jumping on the sofas, battling away. So yeah, we're out here in the wheat fields, and it's time for some sofa carnage to go on in this one. I forgot about the sofas. I don't know how I could have forgotten about the sofas, but oh, the sofas are so exciting. It's just like the stupidest thing in the world, and I love that they did it. Like, could you imagine Forza doing something like this? I don't think so, and that in itself is an absolute shame, because this series is just a little crazy. I mean, we are going about on sofas, shooting other drivers off of their sofas, and it's got like, I don't even know what these exhausts would exactly be exhausting, but whatever sort of weird wheel system is in place to make this sofa thing work, which to myself, I think is absolutely fantastic and just hilarious. Like, look at this. There's people driving around on sofas, hitting each other in the middle of a country field. Where does this exist in real life? Why doesn't it exist? We need this kind of thing. This would be the most entertaining new edition of the Olympics I think they've ever done. And now for Sofa Derby. Who will be able to laze the best? Now this is premium action. Wah! But we are going to switch over and do like a serious derby though at this point, because, well, this is fun. I don't think this really truly shows off the full scope and vision of Wreckfest. Well, it kind of does. Here we go, the final derby battle. It's time to face off and get nuts. I think I put on the gremlin, but this is nuts. Okay, let's smash it up here. Sponsored by Mum. That's kind of humorous. You know, I'm actually surprised they didn't do some sort of sequel to this already. Then again, it was something that was under development for a very... Look at my car, it's absolutely destroyed already. It was under development for a very long time. Again, it had like an entirely different name in like Steam Early Access. I followed it there, and then I saw it coming to console, and I was like, finally. Like, I didn't think it would actually ever release. That was fast. Okay, let's restart that. I didn't think I would get destroyed that fast. Jeez. But yeah, it was one of those like early access games where I genuinely thought that it would never, you know, kind of release, yet here we are, you know, enjoying it on console quite a while after its initial, you know, starting point. I think that's sort of exciting to see that this one actually came to fruition, and that they delivered something that is fun, engaging, wacky, full of destruction, vehicles smashing, bits of metal going flying, but an absolute thrill ride the whole way through as these cars just get damaged to bits. I mean, look at mine. It's got no right even being able to drive. I'm surprised it's staying in there, but I'm glad that it is. And yeah, the controller just is going nuts with the vibration. It's crazy. It's sensual. It's intense. And it's just full of crazy carnage and vehicles smashing. Look at those cars, wheels digging into the dirt. That's just fantastic. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this look at Wreckfest on Series X, and hopefully someday we'll be able to revisit it with some sort of uncapped frame rate, because I think that would be the ultimate way to experience what this has to offer at the current point in time, but whatever the case is, it's still a blast to play too.